Welcome to Sparking Success with Opalewski. Aaron brings you conversations that spark innovation, cultivate leadership skills, and pave the way for your business success. In each episode, we delve into the dynamic world of business and leadership, exploring strategies, insights, and success stories that fuel your professional journey.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sparking Success. I'm your host, Aaron Opalewski, and this is the show where we're going to talk about action and real-life experiences, never theory. Today, we're going to continue on our skilled trades topic, and specifically, I'm going to kind of date this because things are changing rapidly in the world around technology with AI. And so whatever we say today, if you listen to this in a year or two, maybe some things have shifted. But that's kind of what we're going to talk about today is what I see going on in the market. I'd made a post, but first the date, when we're recording this, it's February 20th, 2026. So it'll probably come out next week or a week or two after that. So right around February of 2026. So let's frame it that way. But what we're going to talk about today is why I think skilled trades for the last decade has been a really good place for people to look at going into for employment and a career. And I feel that way now more than ever. I really think that, there's multiple choices for people still, but the dynamics of how things are changing within the employment landscape, your career landscape with technology and AI, we'll see where it exactly goes, but it's shifting rapidly. And is there some overhype with it? Maybe. I don't know. Is it underhyped? And certain roles that are here available for people today aren't going to be available in 12 months. I think there's I sit up here as a staffing professional and someone that's put people to work for 18 years, and I think there's a high probability that some roles are displaced and that could continue to happen. What we know for sure is roles are going to evolve. And so what do we tell our people? You got to be adaptable. You've got to learn how to work with these tools. And it's not so much being an expert in one as it is just getting adaptable to using the tools and learning new stuff quickly, because whatever is the best tool today, what we know for sure, it might be obsolete 2 years from now. High probability in that too. So what do we do with our kids? What do we do with people entering the workforce? Like, what's good advisement to people that we love and care about where they should go into their career? And again, this is just my opinion. You might have a different one, and share it with us. Leave us a comment. Send us a message. Tell us, your thoughts on this, and we might do another episode on it, because I'm just going to share mine, but open to hearing other people's as well. But what we see going on and what we're making big bets on from a business standpoint is the skilled trades arena. I think that is an area that, one, it's under, there's more jobs available than there are people that have the skill. And we're going to be releasing an episode around apprenticeship programs and people that kind of work into that career path. And I really think that, hey, you got a couple choices here. And there's other ones. But for me, if I'm talking to my kids, I think that they should go heavy into something where they're going to be either selling technology services or using these tools, knowing that, man, my kids are 7 and 4, so it's going to look completely different. Let's say they were 18 right now. Frankly, this isn't going to be popular, but I wouldn't advise them to go to college right now. I wouldn't, unless they're going to go be a doctor or a lawyer, which I just wouldn't advise with the AI technology right now from what I see. But I would be pushing them to go into something, take a course, get on YouTube, get into the services side of AI or technology. That would be an option. Get into, our business, that would be an option, of course. But it's evolving, right? So, or get into the trades, in some aspect, whether it is home services or manufacturing or, whatever it may be. I think these are the areas where people have the chance to still build a good career and not have something get completely offset. I personally think, I have a finance degree, a strong background in accounting that's been kind of developed through working with our CPA, going to school for that, learning that within the business. And we still use a CPA, and I'm not sounding the alarm at this point that like we're going to stop using a CPA and go all AI. But when it comes to legal advice, when it comes to CPA advice, these tools are going to get better. I mean, they're already pretty darn close, but they're going to get better and better. And I don't know what the future looks like and some of those type services, specifically at the lower entry levels. I think there's always going to be a need for professionals at a higher level of nuance. What does that look like in staffing for us? It's like, well, we're pushing our people that you got to get really good at the art of recruiting, because if you're just order taker and you're just grabbing resumes off Indeed, these are things, there's the tools out there are already going to beat you on capacity in order to do that. And we're deploying those tools into our business. I have a call coming up right after I record this about how to, we're already doing that, but how to take it exponentially from where we have it to where it actually is now. And so, these things are happening and they're real. So why is skilled trade so good? Hey, maybe someday it's all robots that are doing all the trades and everything is completely automated and all this stuff. I personally, from being involved in this, think we're farther away from that than what the entry-level attorney is from getting displaced in their job, or the entry-level office position, which we have placed. I've placed over 1,000 entry-level office positions, probably more, maybe even a couple thousand. I'm not sure exactly. I'm telling you, we're not positioning our recruiting. We've condensed our recruiting efforts in that area and focused more of it in on skilled trades and higher level roles, because we just, there's a part of me that hopes I'm wrong, but I think it's already happening, and we're seeing it in the way that our clients behave on where they put their orders and for talent. When I say orders, sorry, using internal terminology there, but you got to look at what's going on and look at hey, where are the jobs going to be? Where's their careers going to be? I'm not an alarmist in some of the stuff that I get hit on a lot on my algorithm, because we are in the employment space. So of course I get hit on all the stuff that says no one's going to have a job and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know. I don't think those people know either. I don't think any of us know for sure, but I'll tell you that the areas that I would be advising, the number one, if someone is mechanically inclined, if someone has the opportunity and choice, do I go to college right now, or do I go into a company where I can kind of use some of my physical knowledge or my physical abilities and my knowledge in mechanical aptitude or electrical aptitude and kind of implement that right away. I think they're set up way better than, when I got into the workforce and you could go into engineering or accounting or general business and take these entry-level jobs. A lot of that stuff could get offset. Now, let me play devil's advocate to that. I'm also having conversations where people think that's overblown, overhyped, much like we've seen with, I think the EV auto market would be a good example where, there's been two major pushes in my career for that to, it's going to be all EVs and all this stuff, and it's that stuff's tanking once again for the second time in my career. It's been 18 years, so excuse me. Not saying that we might eventually get to full EVs, but when? That's the question, and I don't know. So that is a scenario that was overhyped again coming into 21, 22, and now there's a lot of stuff going back to, hybrids is where a lot of the auto and mobility companies are landing. So what does that look like in AI? Could it be overhyped? There's I think it's Dell I just saw that is feeling like the stuff that they've been implementing is overhyped, and they are moving back to making more entry-level hires. And so, well, I think that's interesting, and there's a big part of me that's hopeful that that's the case and those jobs are there. Again, I'm not trying to be alarmist. I think I still lean more on the side of what I'm seeing right now is that the threat of a lot of those jobs being displaced and people's talents needing to go into other buckets, whether it be into that AI specific industry and selling services, or getting into those type of products, or being entrepreneurial that way, or working for a company that's doing that. Like, okay, that's one aspect. Or going into construction, skilled trades, manufacturing, home services, things like that. There's a physical skill set required. I think those are two avenues that make a lot of sense to me. And again, I say this, I don't know everything. We're going to watch this in 5 years and be like, oh man, like we didn't know half of what we're talking about. So I'm just sharing my opinions on this today, and where if I had to sit down with a young person, what I would have told them 10 years ago and what I would tell them today about their career options and where I think that they should look to potentially insert themselves into the workforce. It's not completely different, but there's a lot more people that I would now push towards the trades than I would have pushed a decade ago towards that, because I think some of the things that I would have pushed for become obsolete potentially. And I don't know if there's high potential for that, or more than a 50% probability. Do you really want to go to college for 4 or 8 years on that? I mean, by the time you get out of college, I think we'll know, on some of this stuff. So it's an exciting time. It's a little scary, probably for all of us, whether you want to admit it or not. But there's always opportunities, out there for us, and we got to be looking for them. And so I feel like because we're so heavy involved in the trades, like we have a good ability to see what's going on and see that the forecasts are still high in that and stuff's being built. I was just on a quick trip, and the area I'm in is just getting built up like crazy. And so it's like, man, like I just don't see a scenario where inside of the next 5 years, it's a robot that's doing that instead of a human. And again, I could be 100% off on that. And I know you'll probably, if you watch this, you'll probably start getting videos that say the opposite, but I'm just sharing you what I see on that. And I think this is a good place for people to look to go into, where they can build a career. And if they have a business acumen to them, if they're reliable, if they can think on their feet, if they come with solutions, man, they are extremely marketable in these companies to get promoted and to be able to grow their careers. I know that for sure. Working with almost 1,000 companies across the country, and at least 500 to 600 of them that deploy tradespeople, are looking for tradespeople and want to promote those people within their company. So since we do so much of that, and I think it's an area that will be less affected, that is a key area that I'm advising people to look at. Again, I don't know it all. But I feel strongly that this is a good area for all the reasons mentioned for people to look at. So we'll probably have to do this type of podcast again in another 6 months to a year. Yes, things are moving that fast. And, I don't think, human nature is we're all going to be scared of that. And we probably should have a little healthy, it's probably a little healthy to be scared of it a little bit, but I don't have, I'm not an AI expert or running an AI company or whatever, so I have no control over the responsibility around how it's used or anything like that. I'm a business person, and so my responsibility is to try and give good advice, to see what's ahead as best I can, and try and position our teams, advise clients, advise people that are looking for careers on what I think is best on what they should be thinking about, or where they should be pointing their attention to. And ultimately, I'll leave you with this. I think that there's so much stuff that goes on in the world, so many things that are grabbing for our attention, that my advice to myself, I'm talking to myself when I say this, and to everyone out there that's watching this, is you got to focus on things you can control. You got to focus on being the best version of you. You got to focus on your circle of influence, your community, and the people that you affect. Some of this stuff that you're worried about, it has no bearing on your life, whether you think it does or not. Some of the things that you may be focused on, or that is grabbing for our attention, which is constant and everywhere, it's not going to affect your day-to-day life. Or it will, because you pay it too much attention. So I would pour in your time, your attention, your efforts into things that do move your life forward. And, one of those things may be less time and I like watching Netflix and all that kind of stuff, but less time scrolling, less time, worrying about this stuff. And maybe you go grab one of these tools and spend 30 minutes a day using it. Go to action on learning about the future, what's going on, and figure out how, you can put it to work for you. Have a good day. Thank you. And hopefully that is something that, you can take something from. If you know anyone that's in a situation where they're deciding, do I go to college? Do I not go to college? Should I make a career shift? Should I not? I'm in this type of job and I'm concerned. What should I do? I'm not telling you to jump ship, but maybe that last piece of advice, maybe you start using one of these tools. Maybe you look into an apprenticeship program if you can use your hands, or you're mechanically or electrically inclined, and you have some interest there. Like, this could be a good time, if you feel like your job's at risk, to consider at least trying to use these tools, or looking at career options in an area that you're passionate about, that the threat level of that being displaced in the next 6, 12, 18 months is lower. Don't freak out, but take 30 minutes of that time where you're putting attention to things that you have no control on, and spend it on something that you do have control on, which we just shared a few options there. Thank you. Share this with one other person we would ask, please, and have a great day.